I want to today talk about Alibaba stock, which is a position that I already owned in my portfolio, but after Monday I have now extended my position in Alibaba and got even more shares in that company, and I've in fact doubled my position in Alibaba on Monday, where there was a lot of stock market kind of portfolio changes that I made on Monday, and pretty much all this week I'm going to be updating you on that. On Monday there was Alibaba that I added into my portfolio or extended my position even more. There was also another stock which I'll talk about on probably Friday about me extending that position in my stock market portfolio. And also there was a stock that I sold part of in my portfolio. I sold them shares, not fully sold the position, but sold a couple of shares in the position I held on Monday. And the reason why I sold them shares is to make a little bit of room for these two stocks that I bought on Monday, to replace some money that I put in and some profits from the stock that I sold. So all this week I'm going to be talking about all the changes that I made to my portfolio on Monday, starting with Alibaba and me adding more shares into Alibaba in my portfolio. So there's a few reasons why I added into Alibaba, and I'll go through them all going forward, and I'll talk about my position overall and what I'm thinking of doing towards the end of the video. But there was a lot of reasons, and there's that many reasons that I've actually got a long list, and I've had to write really small on the whiteboard today because I was running out of room and I've had to miss a few points off. But there's definitely a lot of reasons why I invested into Alibaba. It's just a company that I really love, and it's one of the companies that over kind of the next 5 years, I would say, because on this channel we talk about long-term holds and we're looking for about 1 to 5 years. That's the kind of the range that we're looking at holding these stocks and selling them. And over that time period, I believe that Alibaba is probably the best position in my portfolio, and one of the best stocks in general that's available in the stock market is that could position to go up, especially at the price it's at, because we're not talking about a stock that's so high on its 52-week chart. It's on a massive discount. It's been struggling for probably the last year, maybe even a little bit longer, and it's a stock that I feel that could have been towards $250 a share. A lot of analysts will probably argue that it could be a little bit higher than that even. A lot of analysts have kind of brought it down slightly as well, because they say that with what's going on economically in China, that could affect it. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But I feel like that this is a stock that could easily be a $200 stock, like I've talked on this channel before. And one thing that really shocked me is, like, I actually looked at my position in Alibaba that I entered the first time round, and I was like, actually, I got in at like really high price, and I was a bit taken back. Like, I got in around about $187, and I thought I got in a lot lower than that. I thought I was in 170. So when I saw the other day it was down at 168, I was like, I'm going to buy up these shares at this price for sure. And I don't see it going much lower than this. If it does like go to 150, 140, then I'll definitely be adding into the position even more. If it stays around these prices for like the next 6 months, then I will probably add a few more shares as well. But we'll see what happens with that. So I got into Alibaba at $168 a share, which is a lot cheaper than my last entry point. So when it got down to that price, I was really happy because it doesn't seem to go too much lower than this. Especially over like the last 52-week period. So it seemed like a pretty good bargain to me. The P's gone up slightly a little bit. It used to be a little bit lower than this. But a P of 34 and a forward P of 27, it's always good to take that forward P into consideration, because we are talking about a growth stock, a fantastic growth stock. And that forward PE as well, with the EPS growth that is going to go ahead for Alibaba, will make a massive difference, which we'll touch on in a second. So the EPS is at 28% growth, which is really healthy. Obviously, I like to go for companies that have a lowish PE, on a nice discount as well, a market leader, which Alibaba is, and a EPS and sales growth of 10%. A dividend's nice, but it's not a major thing for me. And EPS is 28%, so obviously that's beating the 10% by a massive amount. And sales is 30% growth, which is super as well. And it's sitting on a 16% discount, which is really nice to get that stock for a little bit cheaper, get it on sale, and it will definitely make our profit margins a little bit better going forward. Now we look at the sales, especially right now, and the sales are going to be in the China's economy. That's going to be the slowest for so many years. It's been a long time since the economy's been this slow, which is one of the negative points that I actually put down. And also, this is actually Alibaba's one of its slowest rates for like the last 3 years. And when you talk about that and it's still growing at a 30% rate, that's pretty good going. Going forward, like these sales could pretty slow down. But with the plans that Alibaba have in place, it would be quite easy for the company to keep up that rate. Depending on what happens as well, economic wise. But it's going to probably drop from here going forward. But at the same time, it has a lot going for it that it's worth considering that I actually could keep it up going forward. I'll start with the negatives as well because I've gone through most of them right now. So we've talked about the China slowdown, the revenue slowdown, and I think the main reason why Alibaba is just so cheap at the moment and not at the $250 a share mark is because of tariffs, a lot of economical tension, and I don't know why it really affects the stock at all because most of the revenue for for Alibaba, should I say, is from China, and it's not missed any earnings. It's not had to cut outlook like most of the other companies, and it really shouldn't be bothered by the tariffs, but it has done. And the slowdown as well is what's affected the company, and that's why it's so cheap right now. But overall, when you look at the company, it's not even got like a scratch really from the slowdown or the tariffs because it's not had to cut its guidance at all. So, I really don't see why this stock is at this price for me. It's one of those stocks that I'm looking around and I'm like so confused why it's so cheap. So that's an easy reason why. There's only three negatives that I can think of. You could say there's a couple more, but those are probably the three reasons. And for me, the stock is just worth getting into at this price with only them kind of three major negatives going forward. So the positives for me for Alibaba is one of them is that they're going to aim to have 50% of revenue outside of China. Now, a lot of revenue for Alibaba comes from China or obviously directly. And they kind of want to grow that revenue and also expand and not just rely on China's economy. And one of the ways they're going to do that is to try and increase that revenue to 50%, which is a really good move and one way that they could keep up that kind of revenue growth they have. Another reason why is, like I said, I sold the stock. When I announced the stock on probably Friday when I made the video, you'll probably get why I sold that position and bought Alibaba with it. If you do watch the videos quite often, you might be kind of getting now which stock it is that I'm on about, which I sold. But when you see the stock that I sold on Friday, it made sense for me to buy that stock. But I'll talk about that. I don't want to ruin that. I want to keep that a little bit of a surprise until I do that video. My third reason why it will perform amazing, this stock is so cheap and the price target is nearly like $100 more than what it is right now for me. So I see a massive upside in this company, and I believe that going forward, this stock, 3-5 years down the line, we're talking about a stock that's $300-$400 in my opinion. We have a market cap of 500 billion already. That will set to increase as well. In the long term, this could be a 1 trillion company. It buys out companies, which is another thing I like. When you look how diversified now that Alibaba's revenue streams are getting, it's really good. They're in so many different sectors. Ali Entertainment, they've got the brick and mortar stores, they've got like the live streaming, the like Twitter version, the Netflix version that they have. Alipay, there's just so many companies that they currently have like little stakes in or big stakes in. So for me, a company that's so diversified and have all these revenues going in, when a sector doesn't do really well, it's always a really safe company because it's got all these revenues coming in. So for me, a company that likes buying out companies to grow its revenue and being so diverse is a massive thing for me. It reminds me a little bit as well of Amazon, about how it invests so much money into the company to grow its revenue, and it's really paid off. And that's why we're seeing so much good EPS growth as well now. It's really fantastic how that company works and is run. Another thing, really safe company, even with what's going on in the world right now. It's not affected by tariffs. It's still beating numbers easy, even with China economy slowing down. One thing as well that's really key in China, only 20% of retail is currently done online, which when you think about it is quite low really. There's so much growth there, and that's still growing at like a 23% rate year over year, so that's growing. And that's what we say about the middle class in China is growing massively, and that's helping Alibaba grow. There's still a lot of room for them to go there. I don't think it's completely like drained out now because of everyone like JD, Alibaba. There's still a lot of room in that area massively. Another thing as well, we're looking at pushing a lot of growth from Alibaba by going into India and making a lot of revenue from India, which in my opinion is a really good move as well, because it is one of the fastest economies that are growing right now, and I think right now it is the fastest e-commerce economy growing right now. So it's a smart move for them to go in there. Obviously, it's going to be a little bit of a dogfight between them and Amazon when they get there, but still, in my opinion, it's a great area for them to go into because it's a fast-growing economy right there, and a great move. Alipay, massive. That's growing, doing really well for the company. There's talks about them actually breaking away now and actually being listed on the stock market separately. But I like, what I'm like on payment companies. I love a payment company and companies that have a payment company. And for me, Alipay is something that can grow massively over in China and is kind of, well, I think it already is the #1 player for like payments over there. So that's a great move from Alibaba. Cloud, another thing, the #1 player in cloud in China, that's growing at a 76% rate, which is amazing. And my last major point is that this is one of the one of the companies that has been able to beat Amazon. Now, there's not many companies that can turn around and say that Amazon's come into their sector and they've kicked them back out and they're beating them. A lot of companies, when Amazon come into their area, that's when they struggle, that's when they kind of get beaten. These guys have beaten Amazon. Amazon have kind of gone, oh, we're not going into China anymore because of Alibaba having too strong of a hold there. So that's amazing from Alibaba to be able to do that. And there's just so many good points about this stock. I could have added even more in, but the video would have gone on too long. I talk about all the positives, but there's more that I could have put in. So yeah, that's me talking about my Alibaba stock that I've added more shares into. My entry point, like I say, I will buy more if it stays at this price or go cheaper. And like I say, I believe this stock is definitely like $250 stock, even more in the next 3 to 5 years for sure. I hope you enjoyed this video talking about me extending my position into Alibaba. If you could give video a like, guys, subscribe, that'd be amazing. Thank you for all the support. It's going mental. I said I'd like to get to 500 subscribers by Halloween. Maybe we could even get that by the end of August. It's looking really good right now, so thank you for that, and I'll see you in the next video.